Hello, my friends. My name is Melissa from Melissa's Struggling Walk with Jesus. I'm here using the Amplified Holy Bible and the Navigator's Bible reading plan to share the Word of God with you. And today I am using the Old Testament in the book of 2 Kings, and I will be sharing chapters 10 and 11. Chapters 10 starts out with the verse 17 verses as judgment upon Ahab's house, and it says, Ahab had 70 sons and grandsons in Samaria. So Jehu wrote letters and sent them to Samaria, to the rulers of Jezreel, to the elders, and to the guardians of the children of Ahab, saying, verse 2, Now as soon as this letter comes to you, since your master's sons, the male descendants are with you, as well as chariots and horses, and a fortified city and weapons. 3. Select the best and most capable of your master's sons, and set him on his father's throne, and fight for your master's royal house. 4. But they were extremely afraid and said, Look, the two kings did not stand before Jehu, so how can we stand? 5. And the one who was in charge of the household, and the one who was overseer of the city, the elders, and the guardians of the children sent word to Jehu, saying, We are your servants, and we will do whatever you tell us, but we will not make any man king. Do what is good in your eyes. 6. Then Jehu wrote a second letter to them, saying, If you are with me and will obey me, take the heads of your master's sons, and come to me at Jezreel tomorrow about this time. Now the dead king's sons, 70 persons, were with the great men of the city who were rearing them. 7. And when the letter came to them, they took the king's sons and slaughtered them, 70 persons, and put their heads in baskets, and sent them to Jehu at Jezreel. 8. When a messenger came and told him, They have brought the heads of the king's sons, he said, Put them in the 2 heaps at the entrance of the city gate until morning. 9. The next morning he went out and stood and said to all the people, You are just and innocent. Behold, I conspired against Joram my master and killed him. But who killed all these? 10. Know then without any doubt that there shall fall to the earth nothing of the word of the Lord, which the Lord spoke concerning the house of Ahab. For the Lord has done what he said through his servant Elijah. Check out 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 17, my friends. Verse 11. So Jehu killed all who remained of the house of Ahab in Jezreel, and all his great men and his familiar friends and his priests, until he left him without a survivor. 12. And he set out and went to Samaria, on the way as he was at the place of the sand heaps, the meeting place for the shepherds. 13. Jehu met the relatives of Ahaziah, king of Judah, and said, Who are you? They answered, We are the relatives of Ahaziah, and we came down to greet the royal princes and the sons of the queen mother, Jezebel. 14. Then Jehu said, Take them alive. So they took them alive, and later slaughtered them at the well by the place of the sand heaps. 42 men. He left none of them alive. 15. When Jehu went on from there, he met Jehonadab, the son of Rechab, coming to meet him. He greeted them and said to him, Is your heart right, as my heart is with yours? Jehonadab answered, It is. Jehu said, If it is, give me your hand. And he gave him his hand, and Jehu pulled him up into the chariot. 16. And he said, Come with me and see my zeal for the Lord. So he had Jehonadab in his chariot. 17. When Jehu came to Samaria, he killed everyone who remained of Ahab's family in Samaria. until he had destroyed all of them, in accordance with the word of the Lord, which he spoke to Elijah. All right, 2 Kings chapter 10, starting with verse 18. So 18 through 33, the title is Jehu Destroys Baal Worshippers. So Jehu assembled all the people and said in pretense to them, Ahab served Baal a little, Jehu will serve him much more. Verse 19. Now, summon unto me all the prophets of Baal, all his worshippers, and all his priests. Let no one be missing, for I have a great sacrifice for Baal. Whoever is missing shall not live. But Jehu did it with trickery, in order to destroy the worshippers of Baal. 20. Jehu said, Consecrate a festive assembly, a celebration for Baal, and they proclaimed it. 21. Then Jehu sent throughout Israel, and all the worshippers of Baal came. There was no one left who did not come. They went to the house, the temple of Baal, and the house of Baal was filled with from one end to the other. 22. He said to the man in charge of the wardrobe, Bring out garments for all the worshippers of Baal. And he brought the garments out to them. 23. Then Jehu with Jehonadab, the son of Rechab, went into the house of Baal. And he said to the worshippers of Baal, Search carefully and see that there are no servants of the Lord here with you, but only the worshippers of Baal. 24. Then they went in to offer sacrifices and burnt offerings. Now Jehu had stationed 80 men outside for himself and said, If any of the men whom I have brought into your hands escape, the one who lets him go shall forfeit his own life for that man's life. 25. Then it came about, as soon as he had finished offering the burnt offering, that Jehu said to the guards and to the royal officers, Go in and kill them, let no one come out. And they killed them with the edge of the sword. And the guard and the royal officers threw their bodies out and went to the inner room of the house of Baal. 26. They brought out the sacred pillars, the obelisks of the house of Baal, and burned them. 27. They also tore down the sacred pillar of Baal and tore down the house of Baal, and made it into a latrine, forever unclean to this day. 28. Thus Jehu eradicated Baal from Israel. 29. However, Jehu did not turn from the idolatrous sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel sin. That is, led them to worship the golden calves which were at Bethel and Dan. Check out 1 Kings chapter 12, verse 28, my friends. Verse 30. And the Lord said to Jehu, Because you have done well in executing what is right in my eyes, and have done to the house of Ahab in accordance with everything that was in my heart, your sons and descendants shall sit on Israel's throne to the 4th generation. Check out 2 Kings chapter 15, verse 12. Verse 31. But Jehu did not take care to walk in the law of the Lord, the God of Israel, with all his heart. He did not turn from the sins of Jeroboam, who made Israel sin. 32. So in those days the Lord began to cut off portions of Israel. Hazael of Aram defeated them throughout the territory of Israel. 33. From the Jordan eastward, all the land of Gilead, the Gadites and the Reubenites and the Manassites, from Aroer, which is by the Arnon River, even Gilead and Bashan. All right, 2 Kings chapter 10, verses 34 to 36. The title is Jehoahaz Succeeds Jehu. Now the rest of the acts of Jehu and everything that he did and all his might, are they not written in the books of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel? 35. Jehu slept with his fathers in death, and they buried him in Samaria. Jehoahaz his son became king in his place. 36. The time that Jehu reigned over Israel and Samaria was 28 years. All right, so 2 Kings chapter 11. The title is Thalia, Queen of Judah. Excuse me. That is the whole title of chapter 11. So it says, Then Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, the king of Judah, saw that her son was dead. She arose and destroyed all the royal offspring. Verse 2. But Jehosheba, the daughter of King Joram of Judah and half-sister of Ahaziah, took Joash the son of Ahaziah and abducted him from among the king's sons who were to be killed, and hid him and his nurse in the bedroom. So they hid him from Athaliah, and he was not put to death. Joash, verse 3, Joash was hidden with his nurse in the house, the temple of the Lord, for 6 years, while Athaliah reigned over the land. 4. Now in the 7th year, Jehoiada the priest, Jehoshaba's husband, sent for the captains of hundreds of the Kerites and of the guard, and brought them to him in the house of the Lord. Then he made a covenant with them, and put them under oath in the house of the Lord, and showed them the king's hidden son. 5. He commanded them, saying, This is the thing that you shall do. A third of you who come in reporting for duty on the Sabbath shall keep watch over the king's house. 6. A third shall also be at the city gate, sir, and a third at the gate behind the guards. So you shall keep watch over the palace from 3 posts for defense. 7. 2 units of you, all those who go out off duty on the Sabbath, shall also keep watch over the house, the temple of the Lord, for the protection of the king. 8. You shall surround the young king, each man with weapons in his hand, and whoever comes through the ranks shall be put to death. You are to be with the king when he goes out and when he comes in. 9. The captains of hundreds acted in accordance with everything that Jehoiada the priest commanded. And each of them took his men who were to come in on duty on the Sabbath, with those who were to go out and off duty on the Sabbath, and they came to Jehoiada the priest. 10. The priest gave to the captains of hundreds the spears and shields that has been King David's, which were in the house of the Lord. 11. And the guard stood, each man with weapons in his hands, from the right side to the left side of the temple area, by the altar, in the courtyard, and by the temple, the proper, all around the king. 12. Then Jehoiada brought out the king's son, and put the crown on him, and gave him the testimony, a copy of the Mosaic law, and they made him king, and anointed him, and they clapped their hands and said, Long live the king! Long live the king! 13. When Athaliah heard the sound of the guards and of the people, she went into the house of the Lord to the people. 14. When she looked, behold, there stood the young king on the platform by the pillar, as was customary on such occasions, and the captains and the trumpeters were beside the king, and all the people of the land rejoicing and blowing the trumpets. Then Athaliah tore her clothes and cried, Treason! Treason! 15. Then Jehoiada the priest commanded the captains of hundreds appointed over the army, and said to them, Take her out between the ranks, and whoever follows her put to death with the sword. For the priest had said, Let her not be put to death in the house, the temple of the Lord. 16. So they seized her, and she went through the horses' entrance to the king's house and palace, and she was put to death there. 17. Then Jehoiada made a covenant between the Lord, the king, and the people, that they would be the Lord's people, also between the king and the people to be his subjects. 18. Then all the people of the land went to the house of Baal and tore it down. They utterly smashed his altar and his images to pieces, and they put Mattan the priest of Baal to death in front of the altars. And Jehoiada the priest appointed officers over the house of the Lord. 19. Then he took the captains of hundreds, the Kerites, the royal bodyguards, the guard, and all the people of the land, and they brought the young king down from the house of the Lord, and came by way of the guard's gate to the king's house. And little Joash sat on the throne of the kings. 20. So all the people of the land rejoiced, and the city of Jerusalem was quiet, for they had put Thalia to death with the sword at the king's house. 21. Joash was 7 years old when he became king.